All right.
Yeah.
Hey there. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Manjeet.
Hello. Good
Look
morning.
who we have here. Guys, welcome to Lightworkers Unite. We have a very amazing, awesome, badass, gorgeous in his pink collar, special guest, Anthony Russell, which is also AKA Anthony Central. Is that still?
Well, that's
going
my,
on?
well, that's the name of my website, anthonycentral.com, because I was using it. I do many things. I do consulting, I do psychic work, I work as a medium. I have a bunch of friends that try to track me down that I dodge. So it was like Grand Central, Anthony Central, and it sounded like a pretty cool name.
I love
a
it.
cool name. It is a cool name.
I love it. Yeah, so cool. It is so nice to see you. We've been chatting, but now it's lovely to see your beautiful, soulful face. I know. Not at all.
You look fantastic. I'm telling you. The minute I like I said, when I met you before, over Zoom in class, I was very drawn to you, and then I was shocked to hear your age. Shocked, which is
it'll be 70 on May 21st. I will be turning 70.
Woo-hoo!
And if I make it, I will be all middle fingers. Because I was told that I wasn't going to make 30 in the 70s because I was in my 20s in the 1970s. It was very perfect timing.
Yeah,
you're not going to live to 30. It's like, yeah, watch me. So now I want to go for triple digits just for spite.
Good for you.
Good for you.
Yeah, you got a little fire in you.
A little.
Anthony.
Just a little.
Just a little bit. I love
that.
it. Well, happy Valentine's Day as well to both of you. This is a lovely
Valentine's Day. Yes,
lovely,
we are
lovely
recording
day.
on Valentine's Day, so we're all in pink. Who knew? It could have been red.
We're all recording on Valentine's Day, which kind of, so much for that. No romantic breakfasts anywhere.
No, that's not happening up in the Russell house. This Russell house.
Or this one.
Yeah.
After the first 2 years, all bets are off.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's like, we got this. We got this. Well, how do you want to start today? Miss Mayume, should we start with one of our
question
front-loaded questions?
Yeah, well, a lot of the times it's like, how did you get it? How did you get started? Like all of that. So I'm going to ask you, and it just disappeared, but it's one of the questions that we like to ask our guests. And it's just pretty generic, but like, how or when did you first realize or consider yourself a light worker? Meaning someone who was intuitive or your psychic gifts. How did that happen?
When I figured out that everybody else wasn't, I just assumed that everybody was. And I grew up in a it's the kindest word I can use, high profile, socially conservative, not politically, family. So that was for other people. I was told that you're hearing voices. It's like, well, no. I learned many years later that it's called claircognizance, which is sort of like knowing the answer before the question is asked.
Mm-hmm.
And my family never discussed everything. I mean, let's not forget, I was born in 1952. So during the Eisenhower era, we were all little robots and everything was fine all the time.
Wow. Yeah.
So I just figured there was some of that going on. And then it occurred to me when I started actually seeing dead people at the kitchen table and asking, my parents or my sister, how come you're not talking to Mr. Fee? Well, he died 2 weeks ago. It's like, I was like, right over there.
Wow.
Now, Anthony, could you see him like solid as a rock, as if a real person said, or was it kind of, transparent?
I would say he was about 80% opaque, because when I saw the back of the chair sort of peeking through his torso, I figured, okay, another dead guy. I've been seeing them for a while, and then everything came to a head when I was 6. So that was 1958, and my mother had a kind of hands-off approach to parenting. So my grandmother would visit a lot, and my mother was ripping into me, probably because I made some prediction, and I don't remember what it was about, honestly, but my grandmother said, in her vernacular and in the context of the day, why don't you cut him some slack? And she said, if you were reprimanding me, would your mother butt in? And then all of a sudden, this woman was there that I intuitively knew was
Yep.
my mother's grandmother.
Yeah.
So I was like, why don't you ask her? She's standing right next to you. And my mother's like, there he goes again, you know, and I was like, oh, brother. So,
Oh.
you know, later my grandmother came up to me and she said, what did you see?
Mm.
So I described the woman. I said, she looked kind of like you. You know, Sam, they had this red kind of towels, I call it bathtub hair, you know, like curly stuff. And she was wearing like a jade green jacket and a suit. It was a skirt and a
Wow.
jacket, but the buttons were blinking. They were like pulsating. And I said, so there's something about those buttons. I don't know what's going on. Did they have like flashing light buttons back then?
I'm just getting
Wow.
all kinds of weird chills when you're saying this
Yeah,
too.
I know. It's so
I love
cool.
this. Something about the buttons. Wow.
Yeah.
And she
So my
said,
grandmother started showing me pictures of everybody. And she said, do any of these people? And I said, there she is, and there she is. And it was her mother. And
yeah.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
but what about the buttons? You know, because I had to know everything. I was I'm still a very curious person, which is why I'll never stop going to school.
Oh.
So she said that she died, I think in the 1940s. So I had never met her in person. And I don't believe I saw any pictures of her anywhere either. But she was in a suit, a business suit. I think she even said Chanel, but I can't imagine Chanel having Bakelite buttons, but a lot of suits, a lot of women's clothes in that in that era, used Bakelite, you know, for buttons because you can match them perfectly. And
Wow.
when my grandmother saw her in the casket, she replaced the buttons with silver sterling. So
Oh my
that's,
gosh.
so I learned later, once I started sitting medium, that that's a tell. Because whenever I encounter somebody, something about them, maybe an article of clothing, maybe something they have in their hand is pulsating or blinking. And that means that I need to mention that. So what those buttons did was validate that this was the woman. And then I got really a little rowdy. I said, she also told you on your wedding day that your youngest daughter's first son was going to need your help. So step to it. You know,
Oh, wow.
Wow.
because
Wow.
apparently she was psychic.
Oh,
See,
wow.
Yeah.
okay.
So it's in the genes. It's a
Of
a
course
connection
it
then
is.
for you.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that we all are. I think that we have to acknowledge that. I believe that we've been conditioned by society. It's a societal imposition
Yeah.
to poke fun at this, or to call it superstition, or to deride it, and anybody, you know, deride the person too who presents themselves as an intuitive healer. Because it's too frightening for them. They'd much rather have us bowing and scraping to authority figures, whether that's
Yeah.
a parent, a spouse, law enforcement, the local priest, minister, rabbi, mullah, whatever you do, you know,
Yeah.
with your religion, because they don't want people thinking for themselves. That's just I hope I'm not offending anybody, but that's just my take on it. That's just the
Yeah.
only thing that I can imagine, because then you're
When
not manageable.
I think you're
Mhm.
right in that, you know, that's kind of a historical fact, isn't it? That
Oh yeah.
suppression
Mhm,
equals power, right?
mhm.
In all
Mhm.
kinds of ways. And our country, America has a very, very hard reality with that as well, right? That
Absolutely.
suppression equals power. So
Mhm.
yeah, I love that with respect to being a light worker. You know, you're saying it's not just about economics, it's not just about religion, but it's also about our psyche, who we are
They made what
inside.
we do, they made it shame-based.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm
Yes.
gonna be honest, to this day, people say, what do you do? And I've always said nothing. And when I was young, because I
Mm.
had like this fabulous apartment and a car and all these things that I shouldn't have had, they assumed that I was some like trust fund kid. But now that I'm old and gray, what do you do? Nothing. Well, what did you used to do? And my response is, I've never done a thing in my life. Because then they start
Mm.
making you jump through hoops, or their eyes glaze over and they sort of, you know, pass you off as some lunatic. But more often than
Mm.
not, they try to test you. And I've been doing this for more than 50 years. I've been working as a professional since 1968. And I don't test nicely. I'll tell you
Yeah.
the most embarrassing thing about yourself in front of everybody you know.
Oh my
And
gosh, I love
now
it.
what? Yeah. So I try to avoid
Uh,
conflict. As I said, I've become a milder variant of my former
Oh
self.
my gosh.
That's awesome. I bet it was
Um,
really tough though. I mean, I can only imagine. And, you
yeah.
know, what that must have been like for you
In Catholic
as a,
school.
I just, all of
Oh
that. And then
yeah.
also being gay. I mean, how did you manage all of that? Being a psychic, being a medium, seeing things, being ridiculed for that and suppressed, but and then also having this your sexual identity wanting to come forward as well, because this is who you are.
Mhm.
Well, I
So, I
never
mean,
had an issue. I never had an issue with my sexual orientation. It was a problem for everybody else. I
oh,
just
I
felt
love
that it
it.
was my business. It was my
Ah,
business. I
got
remember
it.
when my
Yeah.
father questioned me. I says, "Well, are you planning on like taking me to bed with you? Because if you are, then I can answer it. But if you're not, you should really, kind of respect my
Back off.
privacy." Well, that got me
Yeah.
slapped across the room.
Oh,
Oh,
And even to this day, my personal identity has nothing to do with my sexual orientation. It
yeah.
was much more difficult being a psychic and an artist because in our
Interesting.
family, or people, I was always told, people like us don't do that.
oh,
Mm,
really?
It's like people, well, don't include me in the us because I have no idea. Stupid people.
yeah. Yeah. What do they mean by that?
Yeah,
People
I
like
don't
us, like
understand.
Um,
intellects, or, you know,
I think
what?
it was a socioeconomic thing.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I mean, here's a really good example. When I was 17, because when I was 16, I was outed by my siblings. So, of course, I took every pill in the house.
Oh,
Obviously,
Oh,
it didn't do anything. I just had this wonderful high from
yeah.
Saturday morning to Wednesday afternoon. But
Oh, no.
that's when I realized that they just didn't want anybody to know. It wasn't about me. Nobody said, "Are you
yeah.
okay?" Nobody. My mother called the doctor, but she just refilled. I must have left my prescription in a taxi. Can you please call in another? And I figured, okay. So I
Oh.
was buzzing, and I went out with my fake proof, and I went to the Peppermint
Oh,
Lounge. It was all the rage back in the '60s. And
the
then I started drinking
peppermint.
vodka, and then
Mm.
the pills started kicking in. I thought, now I don't want to die, and I had to keep myself awake. But the point is that when I was around 17, because I told them, I said, you know what? I get it. They said, marry somebody, bring children into the family. And it's like, oh, so it's okay if I destroy a woman's life who's in love with me. And you don't
Yeah.
give a damn if I mortify your grandchildren because I'm not going to stop. And it's only
Yeah.
a matter of time before I get caught. So
Oh,
I'm not into that. So here's the deal. Now that I know what's up around here, don't try to manipulate me any longer, and we can all play nice until I'm 18 and I can get out, because at that time there was a few years that 18 was legal age.
Yeah.
Luckily it was at that point in my life. So when I was 17, my mother had some friends over, and they all had kids around my age or a little older, and they were bragging about so and so's going to law school, so and so's going to
oh,
med school, somebody's trying to get into Yale, Harvard, Princeton, name it. And my mother said, well, he's a psychic and a musician. And I'm like, and a fag, all at the same time. Tell your kids to step up. What is it? They can't multitask? I mean, I've never had an issue with it.
tell
Oh my
him to
God, you
step
gay?
up.
Yeah,
Oh,
really. I mean,
bless
it's
your
like
heart.
juggling oranges. Throw one
Yeah.
at the door in there.
Oh my God, you are hysterical.
I bet that went over
Yeah,
really well.
really well.
She realized that was the first time that she realized that it was no empty threat. If you
Oh,
try to
no.
manipulate me, I'm going to push back and mortify you.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it sort of slowed down.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh. I kind of fucking love that.
I do too.
Well,
It's an immense bravery too. Like you don't give a fuck. So here you
Yeah.
go.
no.
And but that's being true to yourself, being
Yeah.
true to yourself,
That's
embrace
all
who
we
you are.
can be. That's all
Yeah.
Yeah.
we can be.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Then to
That's
punish me, this is the best part. So I
okay.
get outed. They realize I'm not going to back down. What do? They enroll me in an all boys Catholic school run by Irish Christian brothers. I'm like, booyah, jackpot.
Oh my God.
So I loved it.
Jackpot. Oh
Jackpot.
no.
Oh.
That's horrible.
It's like, finally, you
but
people are coming to your senses.
Yeah.
You're like, I feel seen. I feel heard.
Yeah, this is how nuts they're. So it
Yeah.
wasn't easy, but it wasn't hard either, because I just realized that I have nobody
That's what she
to
said.
depend on.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I couldn't help it.
Yeah.
I've been there.
So how long were you there for, Anthony?
Pardon?
How long were you at that school for? Was it like a 4
4
year? Was it-
years. 4
Yes.
years, yes. I was,
Okay.
I mean, I'm only 5'2" and 135 pounds now. Back then I was like microscopic. And of course you go, yeah, now what? So, when you're little, when you're small, you can very easily be bullied. So
Yeah.
I immediately hooked up.
Look at him laugh.
I know he's dying.
He was such a nice guy. Like the toughest like greaser in school.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Greaser. I
Yeah.
love that.
So everybody
So
knew that I was like
smart.
Dave's bitch, except that I was
Yeah.
the one you had to watch. He never threw hands. I did. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love it. It's interesting, isn't it? Because it's like these survival mechanisms that you've created, like it like over time. And I love that you have just this lens now of humor and joy around these things. But I'm sure at the
Yes.
time it must have been, I mean, I think that was the thing I really admire
was
about you
Daunting.
is that
It was daunting, but I developed this mechanism. My home obviously was a little abusive.
Yeah.
And my therapist said, and I agree, that most children who were raised in abusive homes identify with their abuser and become abusers themselves. Very few fly under the radar, although with my big mouth, it wasn't exactly under the radar, and then get out and live healthy lives. But
yeah.
your intuitive ability develops in an oppressive environment because you have to sense the tiniest change in the nuances of the energy of your environment. So you have to know when danger is coming, and you have to
Wow.
figure out how do you want to do it. And I've never been one to run, so I had my share, of butt kickings.
I
And
love
I wouldn't
it.
back down.
I know.
I wouldn't back down. I would not cry. I never would cry.
Wow.
I remember my earliest memory of that. My father was spanking me for something, and it was like a good old fashioned wham, 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 and your ass is going to be as red as those curtains. And I thought, don't cry, don't give him the satisfaction. But at some point, I'm like, this guy's going to kill me. So how do I get out of here and still keep my dignity? Years later, I figured out that's what I was trying to do. So I peed on him.
Oh my. Dave and I are like, what? Silence.
Get away from me. Yeah.
But isn't that interesting? Like, get away.
And I
Like
wouldn't-
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a release. Oh my gosh. I believe it. And I've heard that a lot, with kids with
Yeah.
going through trauma, especially physical abuse. That is the only way they can have some sense of power, some sense of control in that situation,
But all this started with you saying about my humor. I learned very early. I always figured if this was happening to somebody that I didn't, that wasn't me, especially somebody I didn't like, I would be laughing my ass off.
No
So why
way.
am I exempt from my own? Yeah.
Oh,
And I still carry that with me whenever anything blows up in my face. It's like, this is funny. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I should probably be taking this seriously.
No, I kind of love that, Anthony,
love
because
it.
I do.
Yeah.
If you can find the humor, or as you say, humor in everything, then it does.
East
It kind of
Coast.
lightens it. I know. I love the East Coast, as you know. I love that it can lift and change the energy of the room by changing your mindset and having some laughter and finding that silver lining, as they always say, but finding something funny about it to just switch things up.
Yeah.
I mean, because there's some tragedy out there, but if there's anything you can do to change the energy, which is wonderful that you were able to do that.
Well, it was a survival mechanism.
Yeah.
It was a survival mechanism.
Absolutely.
And it worked.
Yeah. When I think it's really interesting because we talk about this a lot, Mayume, in our podcast about we're very frank and honest about, like, we've been through some traumas, our own stories, but laughter has always been kind of one of the common denominators in both of our lives, that we've been able to go, you know what, this is really fucking hilarious. It really, I love when you said that. I was like,
happening to me.
Yeah, that was such a great perspective, and I just was like, yeah, I think I've been doing that, but I never used your words like that, like looking at it from another person. I love that. It's because sometimes it does, you need to kind of dissociate yourself enough to go, where is like what the actual fuck is happening? This is not okay,
This can't be my life.
Yeah.
Sometimes, did I die and go to hell? I mean, and then no, this is your real life. Especially like when the cops, when I got stopped driving without a license, and I'm like hysterical when I got pulled over.
Oh no!
Where are you going at 70 miles an hour? I said, the DMV. I want to take my road test. Give me your license. So I don't have my license, but here's some poems I wrote. You want to read these?
Oh my God.
I mean, he was actually cracking up.
Oh, I bet. How could you not? That's so awesome.
Oh God. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, this has been bugging me since we first started talking. So I have to ask, because I am in the most amazing situation right now. I have access to 2 badass, glorious mediums that I get to ask questions to, and I'm so excited about this.
Well, that would be Mayume and who else?
You. Yes,
what's true is you don't associate yourself as a medium, do you? I mean,
that's one of the things I do.
It is, but your primary is you are a tarot card reader, correct?
Well, I put myself through college reading tarot and sitting as a medium, but I went on strike with mediumship for about 30 years.
That's what it was.
Why?
Because if any,
I know
it takes a lot of trust for someone who passed to manifest, to actually speak through a live person. And what I've learned by listening to credible dead people, because some of them lie. I mean, if you were a jerk, you're going to be a dead jerk. But a lot of them, I mean, they have to go through this process of divesting themselves of their human experience, feeling remorse, wishing they could be forgiven by the people they harmed, and then ultimately forgiving themselves so they could move on. So before they get to that point of self-forgiveness, they can be like total assholes. But the credible ones have come back and connected with family members and given them the most wonderful, heartfelt messages. And then all the person wanted to know is, where did they hide the art? It's like, really? Because if you're going to do this, I have their back, not yours. So I was like, screw you all. I quit.
Interesting.
I totally quit. And I shut that part of myself down. Mayume, I don't know about you. When I work intuitively with cards, I work with my head. When I work as a medium, it has to come from my heart because they respond to love. That's what brings them. So I usually tell a client, if it's a one-on-one session, don't tell me anything about this person except what you loved about them. And then I start loving that too. And then they come down and I go up and we figure out how to blend. And then it all happens. They start sharing memories and specific incidents that I'm then able to relate to validate that this is indeed that person. And then all they want to know is, where's the money? So it's like, all right, that's it. But then what started happening?
Disheartening.
And then they started crashing. Then people started crashing into my tarot readings.
Wow.
Because they want to help with the message. They're like, I have something to add to that, right?
I might have one of their relatives or loved ones, and they know that there's somebody that can engage them. So I always ask my client, I said, I think, some dead person is here. Do you want to share your time with them or not? I'll go by, you can say yes. I don't have a problem saying, get the hell out of here. I've done it to my father. I did it to my father yesterday during the game.
You did. Oh my God. Wow.
It just sort of showed up. It's like, dude, you need to knock. Anyway.
You need to
it. So then I figured, okay, I'm different now. So let's just do this again. So I started doing it again. But I don't think it's a big deal. I really do believe that everyone has the ability.
Absolutely.
Well, and you
So
said
that
something very interesting. You said, I've heard this. So we may even have heard this with lots of light workers. Is this concept or this ability to just shut it off for your own safety or direction? It's like
for my
you
own sanity.
sanity, yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
like, can you tell us a little bit about that boundary? How do you shut it down?
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. When I was a kid, I would never be to school on time because I would have to jump off the subway because I was bombarded with everything from everyone around me.
Oh my
I just
gosh.
needed, I've never been a morning person, nor am I yet. Hopefully never will be. So all that drama at like 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, it's like, bitches, please shut up.
Mm.
And I think the natural instinct is to go within, to hide. But the
Okay.
further in I went, the more crazy they became. The more crazy,
Really?
yeah, the louder the collective noise got. So
Yeah.
instead of jumping off a subway, so when I jumped off the subway car for the last time after about 2 or 3 years, I realized I'm doing this all backwards. All the drama is coming from a place that you don't occupy. So if you join that place, if I go outward, if I become part of it, then I will be immune to it. It's,
Oh.
yeah, you become part of the noise and you don't hear it
Hmm.
inside, you hear it outside. So then I had to play with it, and I found this one level where I'm mostly out, but the only portal that I keep open is one that's going to tell me if danger is coming in my direction.
Yeah. Oh
Oh,
gosh, I love that.
So
Yeah.
so going
love
outward,
Yeah.
becoming part of it, it actually
Mm.
cancels it out.
That's really good advice. That's like
isn't
one of
that
our questions.
crazy?
Like, what advice would
I
you give to
love
light workers?
that.
Like, I love that.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
running toward
Yeah.
the fire.
Right.
Yeah.
And but in saying that with respect to boundaries, energetic and spiritual boundaries, I've never really thought of it that way, as an inclusion versus a
Yeah,
rejection.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. I always thought to maintain my space, like I put that boundary, like to
Mhm,
protect so
Yes.
that things just
mhm.
kind of bounce off me. And I say I'm open and closed for business. Like I close my
Yeah.
third eye.
Mhm.
And that has worked for me, where like I don't want to talk to in the grocery store. I don't want to talk to, I'm talking to a cute guy in a bar. I don't need to see his grandmother behind him going. So I was like,
Yeah.
no, like shut it off, close for business. So that seemed to
Yeah, I think
work.
we all find our own way. There isn't
Yeah,
one way to do it. That's what works for
correct.
me. So if it works for any,
Mm,
it's
I
sort of
like it.
like trying on a really great jacket at Barney's off the rack, and either it
yes.
fits and you walk home with it. This is what I think about all advice. If it doesn't, it'll never fit and you look like hell, so you put it back. Most times things can be altered. So take a
Oh,
portion of what worked,
yes.
because I always tell people this worked for me. It may or may not work for you. You don't have to take it at all. You don't have to take it in its entirety, but at
Yeah.
least try it out and see if you can get it to fit. And then at least you're not going to be having this fit, this
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. I love
So,
that, Anthony.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a great analogy. You're so brilliant.
I know. I
I
love
wouldn't go
it. I
that
love
far.
it. Well, and
I'm
I
just
think
old.
I think I think that's great advice for really light workers, because
Mhm,
and we kind of talked a little bit about this in our last week when
mhm,
we first kind of were
mhm,
I was meeting you for the first time.
mhm,
This concept of kind of owning your light, owning your own power,
mhm.
but also acknowledging that the way I shine is going to be different than the way Mayum shines. But
Right,
we're
Yes.
both in the light, but it's
right.
through my lens as an Indian woman, versus, Mayum, who is, Vietnamese and mixed and has a whole different lens,
Mhm,
but we're still doing the same light. So I love what you're saying about how everybody's power is unique,
mhm.
and just owning that and being authentic with it. Like you said earlier, being really authentic and honest about who you are, but just not trying to compare yourself with each other.
Exactly. There is
Exactly.
no
Right?
comparison.
There is no comparison. Everyone is going to do it in their
Yeah,
own way.
yeah.
And all I think, and it's all beautiful. And we can learn and help, because I really love the whole trying it on. And I love like
Yeah. Brilliant.
I love that. And I think we
Yeah.
can always offer beautiful pieces, these gold nuggets for others to help them. And then they can take it or not take it, or take a little bit of it and then merge and create their own way. But we all have this gift. I agree with you, Anthony. We all do. And
Am I allowed to ask you guys questions?
absolutely not.
Yes.
Okay, Manjeet.
Of course.
Manjeet, you just mentioned being an Indian woman. Were you brought up in a traditional Indian household?
Indian house. I would say generally, yes.
Mhm.
I lived with my grandparents who were non-English speaking. So we taught them how to say fuck, shit, piss, and all the
Excellent.
awesome, all the awesome
what
swear
it
words.
was,
Yeah. But yeah, my mom was very hesitant with English. I don't think English is a very forgiving language for
It's a trick
immigrants.
language. Yeah.
It's really hard for her,
Yeah.
even now, even though she's been here, since she's been 20, she still speaks Punjabi first. And so,
Wow.
but my dad was raised in England.
Okay.
And so he was a lot more
Western.
yes, a lot more
Yeah.
integrated, but we ate Indian food. We spoke Punjabi in the house. Yeah, it was, and strict, there were definitely cultural.
Oh, absolutely. The reason I'm asking is that I was doing a weekly live stream and I had a couple of guests on who were Indian, raised in traditional Indian families. And there were things that, like the way women were treated,
Yeah.
not to be priests. And then there's a hypnotherapist that I'm possibly going to hire for a business venture that is in limbo right now. No, it's okay. I did my part. Now they have to do theirs, and we'll see what happens, whatever shakes out. But her name is, oh my goodness, she's going to kill me. Maybe I shouldn't mention anybody's name.
Yeah, maybe not. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mahesha.
Yeah. Oh, there she goes.
I'm not saying the last thing. Mahesha told me that part of her, she grew up there, and then she came here when she was, I think, around 20. And part of growing up in India included things like meditation.
Absolutely.
And access. So did you have that in your?
Yeah. My parents are both very spiritual. Yeah. My dad is actually was a hypnotherapist as well, retired now, but he's, we grew up playing psychic games.
Mm-hmm.
He would bring the family together.
It wasn't taboo.
Not at all.
Culture, whereas it is here. And I think it's really regional, even in the United States. I was part of a project that worked with psychic kids in the Bible Belt, who were much more oppressed than people in the Northeast or the West Coast, because it just wasn't accepted. It's not accepted here either. You're usually laughed at. Or, you got the curiosity seekers. But in the Bible Belt, it's the devil. And unfortunately, what was happening, you're talking about early development. So if you're telling your young child who believes that you are the be all and end all, that you are evil, that's an assignment that you're imposing on them. And then they grow up to end up in juvie or worse, just because they're psychic or they believe it's the devil and they tried harming themselves.
Right.
So we would go down there and we would gather up the kids. There was a lot of things that were done by snail mail and then email, because then email got invented. So it made it a lot, it just facilitated things. And we would try to find children because everything is really far apart, at least to the places that maybe the locales that I was brought to. Your nearest neighbor was like anywhere between 2 and 5 miles away. The only place that you meet is in church on Sunday. And this is why organized religion is a communal institution rather than a spiritual one, because if somebody didn't show up, you're going to go, oh my God, they died. Otherwise, you'd never know. So there's a reason. It kind of keeps the community together, but you're not going to talk about this in church on Sundays.
Right.
So we found these kids, and then we brought them to haunted sites that we as professionals went in and felt all the psychic residue and says, go in, write down everything you feel, no matter how absurd. And many of them were spot on.
Wow.
And then they look at one of the kids, who are you? Well, I live 2 miles away from. So now they're meeting other psychic kids.
Yeah.
And then the other part of the team had to work with the parents to try to broker a respectful working relationship between parents and children. So they had to be re-educated.
I love it.
that this
That
is
is,
not evil.
yes. When did you do this? How long ago?
It's in
It was
the,
before I got sick. So that was like maybe late 80s, early 90s.
I remember the show. I remember watching
Yeah.
the show, but
Well, the first one.
Okay.
That Lisa Miller.
Okay.
She's a psych professor at Columbia. And then it was
Wow.
turned over, and then they brought Chip Coffey on.
Yes.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
working behind the scenes. I don't like being the center of attention because, like, no.
Oh,
I don't know. Look at how handsome you are. You should.
oh my
You
God.
should
I know.
be like you host your own show.
You
I
should
mean,
have saw me
yeah.
50
Yes.
years ago, honey.
Oh, honey.
I was fire.
Yeah, you
bet
No idea. No
I think
idea.
you're still fire. I'm just
You
gonna
are
say
still fire.
I have such a crush
yeah.
on you, Anthony.
I
I
know.
can't even
Isn't
explain.
it true? I
It's
told you.
mutual. We should
It's
all live
so
closer
true.
together. Why don't we meet in like New Orleans?
Fuck yeah, man.
I'm in.
Do it.
And we
I'm
could do
in.
some,
Do
let's
it.
do some psychic readings and
Yeah.
places.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
Oh my
and then
God.
drinking.
that'd be, there's
Yeah.
Yes.
drinking. I know.
I
Yes,
would love that.
I'm so in love with all of this. And I just wanted to say about the kids
Mhm.
and the show.
Yeah.
I think like we actually have kind of a younger audience as
Oh,
well
good.
that listens,
Uh-huh.
that listen to us. And I think this is really powerful for them to hear that there are advocates, there are
Yeah.
people that, want, like, believe that we believe you.
Yeah, well, you know that all three of us will be there to support them anytime they want, but they
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
understand that nobody can tell you what your gift or talent or propensity nobody can tell you what it is and what it isn't except yourself.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was told the same thing when I was young. That's the devil.
Yeah.
You're being
Yeah.
tempted.
Yeah.
And then one day I had a vision as an altar boy when the priest was holding up the host at the most sacred part of the mass. It's like, if that happened here at this moment, this is not the devil. This is something else. I mean,
That's
it
right.
never bothered me. They say the devil's in your heart. It's like, nah, he's kind of in my shorts. But
Yeah.
I just never took it seriously. But I do have to say that it gave me some cause for concern because all of my
Yeah,
authority
for
figures that I
sure.
thought were infallible and 100% correct about everything were saying the same thing. And it's like, well, I'm going to hell. And it's like, well, you kind of like summer. It's always summer in hell. Trying to find ways to soften the blow. And then it's like, well, you don't have to go there.
Oh,
Yeah, I
so-
love
it's
it.
so true. So
It's
true.
so cool.
yes,
Oh my
young
gosh.
It's so cool.
Young people, own your gift, play with it. If you don't know
Yeah.
how to do it, you can. I used to have to go to the library because we didn't have anything online. There was no such thing as a search engine.
Yeah, no
So,
kidding.
yeah.
Yeah.
And find material. There are so many groups. Just make sure that they're run by people who are legit.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you can get information and experiment with it. Play games with your friends, guessing games. How about
Yes,
that?
exactly.
Yes.
I've held a couple teen circles, intuitive teens,
Excellent.
included like my niece who's extremely intuitive and my daughters, and along with some other extended friends. And I had one boy who was yearning for this. I mean, because he felt like awkward and he had all these friends and he had his buddy pass away. So he really was just quizzing me and asking me all these deep questions about where is he? How is he doing? Can he see me? Can I talk to him? And he was already talking to him. He just needed validation.
Right.
And I just find this interesting. And I am really drawn to the young adults and teens to start them off early because I didn't have help. I mean, my dad was phenomenal in like allowing me to.
Right, you said that you would share so much with him. He would ask.
Yes, and he got so curious and tell me more, and so it made me feel one special. Like, oh, okay, this is okay, even though it scared the living shit out of me. But I think these kids are scared, and then their parents don't know what it is or what's going on, and they're fearful for them. So giving them a safe space and to play games,
and also develop themselves. I mean, everybody who might have enough experiences out of the blue to realize that it's going to be happening more often than not, because once you connect, it's almost impossible to disconnect, but you can control what comes into you and also how you respond. everybody goes looking for it. They'll set up a private area in their home and they'll sit there and they'll focus on, I want to connect. And my advice is like, shut up and listen. Because when you're looking for it, you're actually consciously probing, you're using your mind. You're not allowing yourself to receive. So quiet yourself, just become hyper aware of your environment, the temperature of the room, fragrances, anything. Just be one with the space you're sitting in and quiet your mind completely. There are so many tricks. Pranayama, breathing, always a great one, very easy to teach. 4, 7, 8. Inhale fully for 4, hold for 7, exhale slowly for 8. And that usually brings you to that point of quiet. And then when you're quiet and you're not consciously occupied by looking, that's when you get to see things and hear things.
Yes.
I love
that's
both
great.
of you are saying this, and I think this is really just so powerful. And I'm reflecting on my experience as well. I feel like the validation piece is, like you were saying, Mayume, is so important. And as we can provide that for people, give them that, what you're seeing in the corner, I see it too. And you're a homeowner, and we do this when we do our house clearings, right, Mayume? It's like, we see it too. And then there's power there in that affirmation. But I love what you're saying as well, Anthony, in that it's practice. It's practice in order for you to have the confidence to go, oh, fuck, I know what this is. I've done this like 20 times. I know that, so that whole, I love what you're saying about, Mayume, you're saying about the affirmation. And then Anthony, you're saying like, but by practicing and practicing, you build your own affirmation.
Yes.
Then you start not needing everybody else to help validate you, right?
It's 56 years that I will be doing this kind of work. And I'm going to tell you, and anybody else who will be listening or seeing us, I did a couple of readings this morning. I still don't know for sure if it's real or not. But what I have learned is blurt it out.
Everything you see, feel, and hear, brother. Yes.
Because it sounds absurd to you, but it's not your life. It's your client's life or your friend or whoever you're reading for. So, there were times that I didn't say things. And then the person mentioned it later, and there's no way I'm going to say, oh, I saw that, but I didn't want to say it. It's
you can't. Yeah, totally. So it's better to be safe and get it out.
More often than not, you're going to be right. I remember I saw somebody with a blow dryer in one hand and an ashtray in the other. I was like, we need to shut this thing down and go day drinking, because I am like so off the rails right now. That might be an acid flashback from high school. Something's up there. And she said, well, I said, blow dryer, ashtray. Oh my God, that's him.
Oh my God, are you serious? And it was him? That was
He had ADD. He was an attorney. His apartment was full of case files, but they were very neatly stacked. And he was a smoker, and he would only allow 2 cigarette butts in an ashtray. And then he would empty the ashtray, bring it to the sink, scrub it, and blow it dry with a blow dryer. So that was better than giving a detailed description.
Yeah.
But it was so nuts to me that I was like, oh, cool, we can go to the pub, man.
Yeah.
Let's go get shit-faced. It's like, clock's out, time over. Let's go party.
See, and just trusting. Yeah.
Exactly. But the point is that you never know for sure. But after enough practice, you know what it feels like. Because when I see these insane things, I've now found out that something happens on the right side of my body.
Oh, it's your tell.
It's my tell that I can trust the source of this information.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't know that if I didn't shut up and listen.
Correct. Right. And develop that. Yeah. I love it.
And take yourself out of a place of judgment. Don't hope you're going to be right. Don't hope you're going to do a good job. Just do your damn job.
Just be right. I love it.
Just be, not even right or wrong.
Just be. Yes, just be. Oh, I love it.
Yeah. I love that too. I do. I agree with you in a reading. Sometimes I'll get caught up or start to feel self-doubt and be like, because of the things coming and oh gosh,
or because of associations,
whatever it is. And then I always say it in my head, like, stop, Mayume, just breathe, get back up in the clouds. Cause I like to go up and visualize myself up there. And and just relax and let it come. Because before it was like, oh, trying to control or see. And so I have to
control.
Yeah.
You
and I have
cannot
to
control this.
You can't. You just have to let it come. Let it come.
You can
and
only
it's
control
fleeting.
what you've created. You can only control what you've created. And we did not create these people. We did not create their lives. We did not create their memories. They did.
Yeah.
And they're trusting us. Think about that.
Correct.
Yeah.
I love that.
Trusting us to communicate us. That's a big job to do.
That's such an honor,
It is.
isn't it? It's such an
The
honor.
souls pick the medium. I believe that. The souls pick the medium. They know which medium they want to deliver their message. So they find that connection and connect their loved ones. I know it. And in 1 week I have themes. Like 1 week, it'll all be about, horses or something, or it'll be about dads. And 1 week I'll have all these teen boys who committed suicide. Like, it's crazy how they find me and then they connect and they want. So I believe that.
Yeah.
They want the particular medium to deliver their message. Yeah. So
yeah.
Speaking of, where can people find you? Oh, sorry, man.
Oh yeah. No. That's a great. I love that. Yeah. Where can people and
right here,
do we have time for like a quick card?
Sure. Yeah. I can do it.
As well. But we'll
we'll see what happens. AnthonyCentral.com. And I'm going to tell you right now that I've been meaning to redo this website for about 2 years, but I never got to it. It works. Go to the front page, it says schedule a reading, and it's going to take you to the tarot page. If you're on your phone, scroll all the way down, you're going to see very reasonable rates for phone readings and a PayPal button.
Oh, I love it.
If you live in New York, or if you're going to be visiting New York, you can email me through my contact page, and I will meet you in your home, office, or hotel. The days of having a lot of people coming in and out of my house is over, because everybody leaves baggage and then I'm exhausted and then I get spiteful.
Correct.
Wow.
It's just better to meet somewhere else.
In their space.
Yeah. And the other option, because there are a lot of people like me who don't want people coming in and out of their space. I'm working on a business deal right now for a physical space that is it's actually a 2-bedroom garden apartment beneath a very prestigious fine mineral gallery.
I love it.
Oh, I love this.
And there's a service room. So then if you don't want me to come to your place and I don't want you to come to mine, there is a place we can meet face to face.
Neutral.
Actually, I'll say it. Yeah. Astro West, Fine Minerals,
Astro
102 West 79th Street. If you're on Instagram, look for Astro West Underground. That's what we're calling it.
Oh, I
It
love
literally
it.
is underground, but there's a big picture window and you can see the yard that looks like, I'm not going to say shithole on the air, because it has to be cleaned up. Well, no, the landlord and the super seem to forget that it's part of the lease. But I can take appointments there. So
I love it.
Yeah, you can IM them through Instagram or Facebook, Astro West Underground. If you want to sign up and get on our mailing list, because our tech people send things, but it goes to spam unless you've registered. It's awunderground.com. And then just, call the number or call Astro West, which is a different number. And of course, I don't have either. Oh, I can give you it. And ask for an appointment with Anthony. And I only live a couple of blocks from there, so I can be there at a moment's notice.
Awesome. I love that. I love this. And so our audience are
646-781-9277.
Oh.
Okay. So you can face to face there, or get a hold of me and I can do telephone readings. I can do Zoom readings. If I do Zoom, you're going to see the top of my head. And that's, because I'm not looking to entertain when I'm reading. I try to give you as much information as I can in the time that you reserve.
Yeah.
So
thank you. Thank you for that. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely. Is Zodiac Lounge ever going to come back again?
Well, the Zodiac Lounge was, you mean my live stream?
Yes. Or that show that you did on Monday nights.
I'm going to be doing one next Monday, which is
this is what we should be sharing. Yes.
Yeah. I have to get back to the potential guest who got a hold of me, but I was drinking yesterday during the game and I didn't return any phone calls. But I am going to call him later and schedule a little bit this coming Monday.
I was drinking yesterday.
Well, no, we need days off. We are human too.
Yes.
So that would be
we are human.
February 21st.
Human.
And go to Esoteric guides, human.
Yeah.
Are you happy now?
I love it.
And his name is Simon Deacon, and he's a vortex healer. So it should be interesting. We're going to have a prep conversation. But I am thinking about doing it on a regular basis for myself. Instead of, because Esoteric Guides is owned by a very dear friend of mine who gave me a beautiful write-up in his book in the 90s. It was a guide to all the metaphysical stores in New York, and the Zodiac Lounge. This is all that's left of my store, which is fabulous, because you never knew when it was going to be open. The sign says open 24 hours, but not in a row, because I might want to go to the movies. I might want to go.
I love it. I love this so much. I know. It's like you're, you know, yeah, it's magical.
It is. You're phenomenal. All right. So do we want to, do you have time? Do we all have time, man? Do you have time?
Yeah.
Let's have you do that for our listeners.
Yeah. Or us.
What do we want to know?
Us. How about, yes. Can we do that instead? Screw the listeners. How about we do one for me and Manjeet?
Okay.
Please.
What I'll do,
we'll just do 2.
Just for the sake of brevity, I'll do a 3-card reading, but there's a lot of information in that. So which one, you guys figure out which one of you is up first, and then just tell me.
Wait, we each get 3?
No, I mean, I'll do a 3-card reading.
Yeah.
Which I can, it'll take about 5 minutes. I'm just, if I did a full reading, it's going to be like a half hour. And
just a quickie.
Yeah.
We just want a little quickie.
That's what she
said.
Who's up? Just a quickie, please.
Those quickies.
Dude. Yes. I mean, it's a lovely.
And you go first.
Okay, I'll go first.
What part of your life do you want me to focus on? Just tell me why you want me to read for this.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I was totally like, just threw this out there. How about business, professional life?
And I'm cutting them in 3 piles, and I'm only going to turn the first card. Oh, wow. Pitch, please. Wait. Excellent. Okay. So here's what's going on, and it's actually reflective of, these are conversations that I've had with business people, also other psychics, and a lot of clients. Right now, we're sort of in flux. I have a 2 of Pentacles, and that means it's like dead center. Things can go, you never know which way things are going to go. Let's face it, our economy doesn't show any signs that it's going to stop sucking, and that's according to the experts. So inflation's going up, your dollar's now worth 75 cents. People need to support businesses, but if it's going to come to the choice of getting a reading or feeding your kids,
absolutely.
And I've noticed that they're actually spacing them out further apart. So we're in a place of flux, but what's really interesting, these cards are about 15 years old, so they're like really beat to hell.
Oh my God, I love it.
What's really cool about this, he's standing on solid ground here, which means that he's out of the rough water. So I'm pointing down because that's where you are on my screen.
I love it. Yes, darling.
You're on solid ground. You're not being pushed by the tides. The time to allow yourself to just sort of go with the flow is over. We have to crawl out, walk in our own direction. But again, business is iffy. 2s and tarot are equal and opposite. Like a 2 of Swords is like 2 people arm wrestling with equal strength, and nobody's going anywhere, and that creates an alchemical tension. So once we're a participant in an alchemical tension, particularly about business, because we got Pentacles here, we then get to direct what feels like inertia. It's like putting 2 magnets together the wrong way. So you direct that at something that needs to be affected. Next card, it says, hit the pause button, start doing some research, start learning. Because the Chariot card is all about learning. It's a lower octave of the High Priestess, who is all about knowing. And then your final card, the Hierophant, which means you will be that, so it's about understand where you're at. You did the right thing. It feels to me intuitive, like you're thinking about, how am I going to mix this up again? How am I going to revitalize this? Because something needs to be done, and I'm kind of holding my own, but who wants to do that? So it's about, okay, what do I do? And this is hit the pause button, pay attention to things that have nothing to do with your business. Look at things like the economy, look at socioeconomic trending. I believe it's regional, because I think what's happening, and I hope I'm not going to upset anybody, but I think we're turning into a corporatocracy. and our boundaries are now state lines. So it's about paying close attention to what's going on in your locale. When you have to work with what's working against you. And then you're going to find a way to be in complete control of it. So it's really not as
I love it, man.
daunting or frightening as it might feel.
Oh, I love it.
It's not as much of a puzzle.
I love it.
It's just about, again, pay close attention to everything. And you're probably just going to have to make little tweaks here and there.
Oh.
Because people are having different needs. You're in service and you're serving a population of people that are affected by what's going on in the whole.
Yeah.
So their needs are going to be different than they ever have been. Your approach and your technique is going to have to be in sync. And you may also, I'm hearing, have to educate them about what they should be worrying about, because a lot of people are afraid of change. And like it or not, we're changing.
That's true.
So you have to acknowledge that it's going on, and I am here to tell you what it is and how to help you out of that. So that's all she wrote on that one. Does that sound like anything you're going through?
Well, so that I'm just going to just real quick.
Yes,
I'm going to the yin and yang symbol, or the infinity sign. My company's called Infinite Balance.
Okay.
And so the infinity sign is huge in my life. It is a very it's like a sacred geometric symbol for me. And so to see that is really cool. And what I've been doing, Anthony, in my life, I'm sure you probably know this already, but I have a nuclear medicine staffing agency that I've been running for the last I've been in that field for 25 years, but I'm also been working as a coach for 20 years. So I have been balancing my two worlds for a long time. Right. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, that isn't like essentially
it was
me living two lives. Right. I run this I'm the CEO of this company that I birthed, 17 years ago. And it's awesome. But I've also really, I love being a coach. And this is where my love really is now. So I'm kind of like, let's, and then I just launched, I know.
Let's throw another one into, let's throw another
I know.
on the Barbie.
I know. I love it. When I just launched a multidimensional healing certification course that I'm going to be hosting.
Excellent.
And it's been, but that is a bit, like I am going to be I'll be certifying people in this process that I've learned over the last 20 years being a coach. So that also feels like, okay, a little nerve-wracking. So this was so lovely to hear.
Well, again, the key to it is just investigate what's going on around you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I am researching like a mad woman, and I have been for the last 7 months. So when you said that, I was like, I've been learning about star seeds. I've been learning about.
You're guaranteed to be
I love it.
in charge of your own empire. So that's terrific. Now, when you said nuclear medicine, is that anything like genetic coding? Because I have a client who works in big pharma, and she's working on a treatment right now for cancer patients that really have no hope. And it's pretty much re-engineering their DNA.
Yes.
And it seems to be very effective, but it's still in a trial. What is nuclear medicine? Yeah,
nuclear medicine, we inject radioactive materials into the bloodstream and then put them under cameras to image. So it's under
diagnostics.
Yes, it's it's under radiology. Okay. Yes, and I specialize in cancer detection and nuclear cardiology. So those are my specialties with my team.
Client of mine's mom just went through that with a very unfortunately.
Sorry.
No, it's like the pancreatic cancer of brain cancers, but they were able to do that, to light it up and then make, one small hole instead of shaving her whole head and healing and remove all of the cancer.
Yeah, imaging is amazing. I know Mayume, we talk about this stuff all the time with Mayume, and I'm always like, I can't believe all this shit we just found. And, this person's life is going to be saved. And it's just so, it's a really powerful, so I just love that. And thank you.
I'm going on way too long. So you have your guarantee now.
Oh.
Yes.
You have your guarantee that you're going to land in the place that you want to be. All right, my pretty.
Thank you. I love you. That was beautiful.
Should I call you Mayume?
That was awesome.
Would that be? Because I keep on using the humor.
So I'm thinking in honor of Valentine's Day, we'll switch it up. And so tell me more about, I'd love some insight on my relationships whether, yeah, I'm just going to kind of leave it there. Obviously,
Yeah.
I mean, I have a husband I'm
You want me to
curious about,
spill
but
all the tea, or?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Spill it. Good, bad, and the ugly. I'll take it
Oh
all.
God, that's the only way. It's the only way to roll. I've shuffled.
I want to go to New
best.
York right now.
No, you don't. It's
I
freezing.
do.
It's like 19 degrees. It's like so
Oh.
uncalled for. Almost 57 degrees on Saturday. And then yesterday, it's like we had snow, and today we're freezing.
Oh
Wow.
boy.
I ran out to the convenience store to get milk because I forgot to buy it yesterday in the midst of all that drinking. And I needed coffee. And I walked outside. I'm like, what the hell just happened to me?
Yeah.
It was just like
Oh.
froze solid. I had a little hoodie, zip up hoodie, and my slippers.
Oh my God, you're so cute.
I'm like,
I love it.
Oh my God, it's horrible out here. Okay. All right. This is interesting. And I'm gonna spill it big time.
Okay. Yes, you are.
Things might have become neglected, they might have become stale, but you have actually been, it's interesting. Many times when we take care of ourselves, we're actually taking care of the problem and the other people that are involved in it. So it seems like you said, okay, this is it, last ditch effort. I'm going to give it everything I have to put effort into it. And this card says, if you continue to apply yourself with 100% enthusiasm, it has to be legit. Your reward, your potential reward is going to be tenfold. Now, I'm also seeing that you might have felt or possibly been, I'm not in any of your relationships, and I have boundary issues that are almost unhealthy because of early life BS, but you might have felt marginalized, disenfranchised, disempowered. And it's about you, what you're approaching right now, because you're making a conscious effort and application to make sure that you are getting reward, and so is everybody else, but you can only do your part. So it's almost feeling like a liberation that's going on. And you will become harmonious with your own empowerment. Kings are about harmony. Queens are about control. Trust me, I've dated them all. But in tarot, the status of king is harmony with the element. So this is about understanding your own power. Maybe you just have not been aware of that you can have a sword, or that you do, and that you do have some power. And what I love about this is about where you're going to end up. This is about people of like mind working toward common goals. So I think, and when I'm getting intuitively, what may have been happening is that everybody has their own agenda, everybody has their own role. Your wife, mother, taxi driver, I don't know why that came into my head.
Fuck yeah, man. Yeah.
You're dependent on, and you're like, well, when do I get recognized for this? So it's about making it known, making it, I'm driving you to your soccer game, bitches. You have to remind them that this is not to be taken for granted.
Yeah.
In all of your relationships. And then you're going to see how quickly people respond. Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry, mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what's going to happen is that all of these relationships are going to coalesce around people of like mind working toward common goals. There's usually one person in a group relationship, and I'm not talking about, Pornhub. I'm talking about real life. There's usually one person who functions more than the other. Yeah. And it's a role. It's a role that you occupy. It's usually specific. Unfortunately, it's gender specific. I remember my mother saying when I was a kid to my father, I have one job, and she should have been working, but back then there really wasn't a lot for women.
Yeah.
She only have one job, and that's raising these kids, and damn it, they're going to be perfect. Well, perfect to her was like torture for me.
Yes.
But when you assume that role, I went through that with my late partner. He had progressive dementia, and the more advanced his diagnosis became, the more responsible I had to become. And I loved doing it, but then it got, every time I would call him, do me a favor, stop by and get this. It's like, well, can you give me the shopping list last? can you ask how my day is going first? Because that would probably, so we start to feel resentful of roles that we've created and actually unconsciously enforced.
Okay.
This is my function, nothing more. But this is really a beautiful outcome, because it's everybody coming together and appreciating each other more than you've been able to, because everybody goes on autopilot.
Yep, absolutely.
So I don't know if that's accurate or not. It certainly is encouraging. It certainly is encouraging.
That's good. That's good. No, I love it. And yes, I drive them to soccer, those bitches to soccer practice. That's spot on there.
And then, and so when are they going to get their own license?
Well, one does. It's just the car broke down. So then I have to drive the little sister. So it's just different times. But yes, it's all happening. It's just we're in this flux
but you
right
decided
now.
to get serious about it. And I think you were at that point. It's like, all right, I'm going to give this one more try. I'm going to be very specific about why I'm so bitchy today. And hopefully you're all going to catch on, but you did it enthusiastically. It's like, and then we're just going to let everything shake out and let the chips fall where they may. And that's where the chips are going to fall. It's going to fall into you reconnecting with your own sense of empowerment.
Okay.
Because when you feel taken for granted, you don't feel very powerful. You feel,
powerless.
Powerless.
And then what I love is this card, everybody coming together, so people are going to realize that they don't, too many people are depending on you, but I also have to say that you allowed that.
Fuck yes.
And then usually a couple of years in, we realize what we did. So it is not undoable. So these are two really positive readings, I think, and I'm probably going on way too long.
No, I love it. We could do this for hours.
So that's good.
I feel like
there's nothing to edit.
People in our audience too, I'm sure. I mean, we really do believe this, like what you're saying is not just for us. It really is this universal consciousness. And I feel like a lot of our listeners really need to hear this, that we can break out of the roles that we've created for ourselves and create freedom, right? Like Mayume's story, I'm resonating with that myself, but I just love that, And so thank you.
When you heal one person, you heal the whole room.
Yeah.
Oh, what publicly.
I love it. What a
beautiful way to end this call.
A beautiful gift. A beautiful gift. Yeah. And I think we should fly out. And I mean this. I don't say this shit and just like let it go. I want to come. I think we should go to New York. I think we should come and see you face to face and do another podcast or live show.
Sure.
And I mean, you're just so fun. And there's so much more that you have inside in your mind that I want to get to know and pull out. And
I feel the same way about both of you. Now imagine if we were all in the same physical space, it will get crazy.
Girls, yes. It's gonna be I'm just saying, yes. I'm super, super, super excited about that. I think that would be a lot of fun. And we do, like, I feel like we've just hit the surface of Anthony's light, like right there. Mayume, I totally agree with you. Because I mean, even the psychic kid story, and I just have to say about that, before we wrap up, I just want to say, I really feel, Anthony, that you've saved so many lives in that part of your life. I keep seeing like all these beautiful young souls that are now older, and they know you. They are grateful for you. I feel like you've saved their lives, I
let them know that they were seen.
Yes.
I acknowledge their existence.
Yes.
I was one of the people, but I would love to, I've even been toying with the idea of how can I start that up virtually now? Because we didn't have Zoom back then. We had to physically go to all these different states and I call myself the last of the rock and roll faggots. So, when we're in Mississippi, it's like, y'all one of them fancy boys. And I didn't know what I said, fancier than her, your wife. We call you like mulch down here. I live in the city. We don't need mulch. And then when I found out what it was like, they're going to chop me up and put me in the fields like that crazy Davis. It was at Harvest Home.
Oh my God.
I should probably just stay in my hotel room. And,
it might be safer.
Don't go to the pubs anymore.
Yeah.
Don't keep
Oh
away
my
from the tavern.
God.
The fag alarm goes off. So,
Oh my
So
gosh.
funny.
This is the
I
best way
love
to
it.
spend a morning with
It really
you.
was.
I had
It really
so much
was.
fun.
So
Had
much
so much
fun.
fun with
You're
you.
fucking fabulous, like on so many levels. I'm so
Yes.
honored and grateful that I got to connect with you and meet you the way that I did. And I hope this beautiful
Oh,
friendship will continue. So
It's
I
going to
thank
continue.
you.
So if I start live streaming again on a regular basis, I would love to have the two of you on.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'd love
Yes,
to
Maybe
we'd
even
love it.
come.
We'd be honored.
regularly. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, we'll have
I
like
would.
first Monday of every month is like Crazy Bitch Monday, and then we all get together
Yeah.
and do this. It could
Crazy
be
bitch.
Yes.
I love it.
I'm
Love
in.
it.
I love
I'm
it.
in.
And I,
Because I'm a fucking crazy bitch. Perfect.
yeah.
Oh, no,
Yeah, I
yeah,
will.
I'm down with that. I've never been accused of being sane or measured. So loose
We-
cannons are us.
Okay.
you
I
are a
love it.
gift to us. And
You are a
thank you.
gift.
Thank you so
It's
much,
been
my friend.
such a pleasure, and I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. So I guess this is it.
This
Yes.
is
Get
it.
off here.
Until next time, my
Thank
friend.
you all.
Mwah.
Namaste.
Indeed.
We love you.
Namaste. Okay. Bye.
Bye.